Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Padocast, and I'm covering a lot of the awesome drops that we got from PAX Unplugged. Riot released an article kind of recapping a lot of them and also showing off some of the cards, which is really cool to see. And I'm just going to walk through some of the mechanics and other highlights that came through. If you want to know about the champions and where I feel like they fall on the power scale and a more in-depth look at them, you can go to my other video. But for now, let's just dive into the rest of it here. Which gold, we already knew about the new gold mechanic with the gold gear. However, repeat was a mechanic, but we haven't seen all the repeat cards and what they could potentially be. And Danger Zone does make me a little bit excited here because it just says all mech units flat get +1 might. This kind of reminds me a lot of Siphon Power for Victor. However, this has repeat on it. So 1 into power, and you can pay it again to get +2 might to all mechs just across the board, which I think is really strong because you're not just buffing mechs at a battlefield. It's all of them, protects against a lot of potential stuff, Falling Star and other things that could be coming in, attacking your units. So I think that this is just a cool buff card and a cool show of why repeat's going to be great, because the one thing about buff cards is if they don't draw you a card, the later the game gets, they need to be either part of a really big swing, something like this, like Siphon Power can be. But if they're just like a singular buff card, or you're buffing a few units, like having a cheap buff spell could be tide turning, but also could just be worthless in your hand if it doesn't draw you a card or accelerate you or do something like that, where when you have repeat cards, they scale more into the game. You can do more with them. And so I think that this is cool to see. And I'm also a huge Rumble fan. So any other cool tech where they're leaning really heavy into mechs, and that's going to kind of be the gameplay. I like to see cards like this. We also have equipment, obviously, of course, that they've already announced come into play. You can equip them to creatures with a power cost, sometimes with an energy cost as well. Really power hungry, but as we've seen with a lot of new champions like Jax and so on and so forth, they're going to be able to cheat on this equipment pretty easily. They also have quick draw. Quick draw allows gear to come in instead of having to pay to attach it. It can immediately attach. It can be played as a reaction. So it's like a pseudo spell gear equipment that comes into play and immediately attaches. I think these cards are going to be really strong. Then we also have Weapon Master, which we love to see. Back here you can see Doran's Blade, which is just a simple 2 and gives you +2 might, which is great. That'll make things mighty for the new Fiora and so on and so forth. But Weapon Master is cool because instead of having to pay the power to attach, the unit can just attach it for free, essentially, because it reduces the cost by 1 power. So Weapon Master units are going to be very, very strong for basically taking on equipment and becoming huge threats right away. Now, they also announced collectability and talked a lot about here the kind of different stuff. So you have your legend, you have your signature spell. Defiant Dance, it actually looks really amazing. Basically, Defiant Dance says you get to give +2 to unit and -2 to another unit for 1 in a power. Like, actually kind of crazy. Actually kind of crazy as a reaction. Like, this is Fear of God, a buff spell, honestly, because 1 in a power, it's just like if I'm holding 1 up and you know that it's going to be potentially a 4-point swing, like a way better version of Smokescreen, where it's like I'm not just giving you the -4, I'm giving +2 to something and -2 to something else. Lethal, absolutely lethal stuff. It could be the difference of, Watcher turns where they're swinging in with the Watcher and you got the -3, but you get the +2 back and you give them -2, evens it out. Could get some surprise trades in there like that. That's scary. But we also have Aurelia, the normal card. We have her 2 unit cards. Both of them are interesting. The Calm Aurelia basically says when she gets chosen, she gains a might this turn, which is really strong. That means like any buffs, any equipment, that kind of stuff is really going to buff up on her. She also has Deflect. And then the Chaos Aurelia has your spells that choose her specifically cost 1 power less. Now, this is interesting because there are a lot of spells that potentially could have power cost that normally you wouldn't want to play or are going to have to be really, really strong. Or if you think about Defiant Dance, where that costs a power, now when you target Aurelia, she goes to 6, something else goes to -2, but it only costs you 1 resource, didn't even cost you the power. That's some crazy synergy. They also showed off the alt arts here, the different kind of skins for Aurelia. And then they also showed off the over number for Aurelia, this very like painterly, type of relic. I wish there were more blades kind of involved in it, but it looks cool. And the one thing I know about all these overnumbered cards is when you get them in person, the way that they treat it and foil it, like this is gonna look insane. Like this doesn't do the card justice. Like in person, this card's gonna look insane. And then they also announced not only that, but now there's overnumbered for units. So here's the overnumbered for the Calm Aurelia, and this Calm Aurelia even has a signature as well. So not only are there a lot of overnumbered cards now for just legends, there are also overnumbers for champion units. And personally, I don't know exactly how I feel about this. I personally like that the legends, the thing that's always going to be front and center, is going to be the showpiece of a deck, and creating like, you know, if they have 12 legends or 10 legends per set, but you're going to create like 30 other overnumbered cards to go along with them, it just feels like a lot. And on top of signatures and that kind of stuff. Now the cool part is like you can go really bling with your decks, but I also feel like there's going to be instances where, like, you know, there are lots of champion units that aren't super played and could not be played in the future or won't be super popular, and so maybe their overnumbers will be cheap. That'll be kind of cool, but also just kind of feels like a waste a little bit of having all this cool artwork, and then it's not like showcased with people that really love their legend or champion, I guess. But I don't know. I think overall it's going to be a win for collectors and for those kind of people and people that really like to play in their decks. But it's a little bit sad because now it's like I like the idea that if I hit an overnumbered card, it was going to be for a legend, and I was immediately going to have like, oh, like I got like Darius, so now I'm going to make a Darius deck. Where if I hit a champion unit, I don't know if I have that same drive off of it. So I'll have to see where I really feel about it. Overall, I think it's still going to be cool. It's just I wish they were legends, because now it's going to be harder to get a specific overnumbered card you want. It's going to be nearly impossible unless you go out and purchase it, pretty much, because there's not enough boxes to open for 1 in 3 boxes. Even with overnumbered in Origins, I hit 2 Aries. That's my first overnumbered cards. So like it doesn't even account for that, where you're getting back to back, and champion units you need 3 of potentially for a playset. Like I don't know, there's so much of this that's kind of like, I like the idea that champion units, because if it's your chosen champions in there, but if I'm just throwing them in my deck, I don't know. Anyways, we'll see how it falls after Spiritforged launches and we see it. But the fun thing about this is like it's not just a legend and a champion unit. It's also stuff from Origins. So there's actually going to be other Origin cards that are in overnumbered that are champion units, like this Ari. And I'm going to tell you right now, as an Ari enjoyer, as an Ari lover, I'm obviously going to go get her. Now I'm playing Green Ari currently in my champion zone, which feels a little bit of a bummer. But you know, there's alt art of that, and there's other stuff that I can put in there. But this Ari is so beautiful that I'm going to get a place out of them easily. I do sideboard in Blue Ari sometimes. I've been toying around playing within a champion zone. Maybe if I got this, I would just force it for the nerddom. But like, the card is beautiful. I'm getting it. It's gas. It's gas. It's going to be insanely expensive probably because sorry. Same with the Ari Legend. And yeah, we'll see where it falls. But I'm excited about Ari Inquisitive showing up, and what else might also be in there when they give us the full release. Now we know that the release is going to release in China first on December 12th. The meta is going to be solved by the time it gets to us. Super exciting. No, I think there's going to be lots of room to play now with multiple sets out, that it won't quite be the same there. But the English, we won't get it until February 13th. And they kind of announce what we already know, which is that there's going to be a pre-Rift event. I like that they actually made a specific box for the event, because I think store owners, when I went to a bunch of them, were struggling with, okay, what format did we really do? There were really janky rules. Like one of the ones I went to, they were like, runes are rainbow, they count for anything, so rune color doesn't even matter. You can recycle for anything. You could play all colors in your deck, like not even 3 colors. Like it was like fun chaos mode, but also it was like there wasn't good direction for stores for how to handle it. So flexibility sometimes is good, but also if you want people to really learn your game, I think that doing something like this where you get a box, it's like, hey, everything you need's in there, champion stuff is in there, boom, go, I think is great for store owners and players that are trying to learn and get into the game. And of course, then they're going to have Nexus Knights and Summoner Skirmish. This is all stuff that we know, but I think the box is cool that they're coming out with. Now, on top of that, they also talked about their Nexus Knight runes. I think these are beautiful. They already kind of spoiled some images on these earlier on, but I think that they have the spirit blossoms, the pink blossoms kind of into the art is awesome. I also like the really smoky kind of look of the mind and the chaos runes. They look great to me. Those are my favorite ones, at least so far. I think Body and Order are kind of always gonna get shafted because there's only so many directions you can go with them. Light rays and I don't know, with the sharp jaggy things, right? Fury's always going to be Angie, and then Calm, you get the Leafs in there. So like overall, I like these runes. I think they're awesome. I think that the petals are in there. At first, I thought the petals might, because they added in petals around it, and so I wasn't sure if the petals were actually on the cards or not. But then looking closer, you can see that they're part of the card. I think that's awesome, and it's a cool theme to have. If you go in really hard and collect these runes to have for your deck, it's going to look nice. On top of that, they also said that there was more participation in Nexus Nights than they thought. They're going to send out more Nexus Night promos. To this, I gotta say, it's like, come on. Like, when this program was set up or pitched, in my view, it looked like, hey, we're gonna keep resupplying you from the get-go. It wasn't like, oh, here's your one shipment, here's your one shipment. Like, that's not in my mind what I thought, because it's better to have a strategy where it's like, hey, here's your initial shipment, then run games, and we as UVS can see all your games, see how much participation you're getting, and then we can resupply you. So stores that are having big events that are like 30 plus, 40 plus consistently will give you enough packs so that you can give them out as participation rewards, which is what they're supposed to be. They're supposed to get people there and playing and be participation rewards. But instead, what pretty much every store I've gone to has basically done, they've basically been like, we don't have enough. We're going to run out right away. If we're doing 30 plus whatever people a pop, 20, even 20 plus people a pop, if you're getting up there, you're going to run through that 100, whatever they gave some of the stores really, really quickly. So what they did is, instead, it's like you had to be top 5 to be guaranteed. Sometimes they'd raffle them off. There are stores that did just give them out as participation. They were like, oh crap, we don't have enough to like keep giving these out. So I think that was kind of a mess. And I think that they need to have a more sophisticated system or way. And hopefully they learn from this. I know Riot will learn from this. The one thing I know about Riot is they are going to stumble out the gate with stuff like this because they're new to the space and they have a new partner. But then they're going to retro like crazy. They're gonna spin dials, and they're gonna fix it, and they're going to make it better for the players. So I have full confidence that this will get worked out. But it was disappointing to me that it wasn't like a participation thing like was initially promised to get people there and excited. And the one thing you don't want to have is you don't want to have people drop off out of your game because they show up to these Nexus Nights and they get nothing for it, and they get curb stomped by other players that are super serious, and they're the ones getting stuff, and they're going to be in there anyways because they're the serious players, or they're trying to prepare for a regional or whatever at that. And then like your casual players or your lifeblood players are kind of like not getting the rewards. So I'm just excited that there's another wave going, and hopefully they fix that going forward so that there's just a constant supply so that they can give them out as participation rewards as they were intended to be. Now I'm hopping off my soapbox. Next up, we get to talk about the competitive scene for 2026. Now, they revealed a bunch of stuff after Houston, which I will be at. If you're going to Houston, hit me up down in the comments or let me know. I'm going to be interviewing people there, creating content there. I would love to create content with you if you're a content creator, or even if you're just a player, participant, whatever, and you want to be interviewed. I want to hear about your story, your favorite decks, all that kind of stuff. I want to make a lot of content while I'm down in Houston. If I'm not, running towards the championship, then obviously I'll be focused on that. But otherwise, I'll be there with my videographer, my girlfriend, and we will be, interviewing people and, really capturing the event in its whole so we can share it with other people that didn't have a chance to go to this regional qualifier. I think it'll be really exciting, this first one. So we have the first regional qualifier in Houston. Then there's the Paris Open for TFT, which is out in there. And I think they have this in PAX East as kind of extra stuff. I don't know. I don't think those are actually qualifiers. But what they do announce next is we have Blood in Italy, which will be in February. So that'll be around Spiritforged release, which will be pretty crazy. Then immediately followed by the Vegas Open. So that's going to be another scramble for cards, which is kind of a little bit frustrating given what we've got with Origins. It's going to be the same for Spiritforged unless they are already preparing and printing lots and lots and lots and lots of boxes. I am fortunate that here in where I live in Washington, there are a ton of awesome game stores. They have supplied boxes at MSRP. They have stock. They supply packs on the Nexus Nights. They still have product. It is awesome. I am very fortunate for where I live and the gaming network and stores that I have around me. That is not everyone's experience. And so I'm sure it's very frustrating that cards are going to the moon for card prices and you can't afford it and you can't even get product. You can't even get a starter deck to get into the game. That sucks. And I know Riot's fixing stuff come January, February early, there'll be a bunch more Origins in the pipeline. People will be able to get their Origin cards. I just hope this doesn't happen again for Spiritforged, because already there's pre-orders out there and there's people on TCG Player and that kind of stuff charging $200, $300 for a box, and I think that's silly. So there's always going to kind of be this push, and so that's why like having another regional qualifier so close to the Spiritforged launch is a little bit scary to me, because I think it's going to jack up all those card prices and people buying product again, which is smart from a business standpoint if I want to sell all my product. But at the same time, for the vast player base, this is going to suck because prices are going to be crazy for Spiritforged out the gate. That's just my prediction. Then they have PAX East, and then they're going to have another regional qualifier in Europe, another one in North America in April timeframe, and then May is another regional qualifier in Australia. So a lot of exciting things there. And just those announcements would be amazing. But wait, there's more. There's more. You say yes. They have talked about the next 3 sets after Spiritforged. So we know that they are Unleash, Vendetta, and Radiance. And they have told us that around Vendetta, everything pending, my guess is it'll probably be Radiance. But Vendetta is when they're targeting about aligning the launch. So we know that China's always getting stuff ahead, months ahead, because that was the original plan. And the English side of things was kind of tacked on after that, because they realized the game was good and they had fire, they had some heat. So excited that they're doing that, but everything's kind of behind. So if you're familiar with other TCGs, it really kind of sucks when another region gets the set early, gets to play everything out, forms the meta, and then you get it after the meta, and you don't get to go in and have that fun Wild West experience figuring stuff out. You want to be part of kind of building out what the meta can look like and what can be in that freedom of expressions, what is fun in card games. And it's not fun when you get to your first regional event in Houston, for example, and you know that Kaisa is going to be the top deck, and you know that Yi is going to have some representation, and you know that those are your 2 best bets probably of making it far. I think there's other decks that have a good shot. I mean, obviously I would be playing Kaisa or Master Yi if I, thought that there wasn't other decks that had a shot. Spoilers, I'm not, obviously. I mean, I'm a huge Ari enjoyer. There's no, I might bring Ari. We'll see where it finally lands. I'm testing out a lot of decks, but I think the point is like, I'm super excited for it to all merge and everyone to get to experience the launch together. So with that said, Vendetta's where they're targeting. I don't know if it'll hit there, but we do also have some image spoilers. So we have Unleashed right here. So Unleashed looks like it's going to be Vi is going to be the marquee kind of legend, which is exciting. Vi already is a great win condition in the Ride the Wind deck, but now we get official one, and we also get images of Master Yi. I don't think that another legend's going to come out, but maybe Master Yi gets some other champion cards and that kind of stuff. We have Rengar, which that also the things that appear in here could be champion units that don't necessarily mean they're legends. We have Rengar this season, and then we also have Morgana, which Morgana is a huge fan favorite character for a lot of players. We'll see what we get with Unleashed. And then on top of Unleashed, we have Vendetta. So this is where it's all going to kind of coalesce, come together. And in this one, we see that Akali is a ninja type character for those who play League of Legends, has like a lot of smoke screens and that kind of stuff, and dashing and quick gameplay. So she probably would be a really exciting legend. But then we also have Mbessa and Mel in this as well, which Mel having any ability to flex spells back at people will solve a lot of Fury Kaisa problems. But that'll be way down in our future. And Mbessa being that kind of like aggro aggressor, Fury type character will probably also be really awesome as well. I think she's probably Fury body would be my guess. We'll have to see. But overall, like this is super exciting stuff to have launched at PAX Unplugged. We basically got to feast. But let me know down in the comments, what was your favorite reveal of PAX Unplugged? Which one of these things has you excited and ecstatic about Spiritforged? And as always, remember, you're going to be amazing today because you are amazing. And I'll catch you next episode.